Today's podcast is sponsored by Security Unlocked, a new podcast from Microsoft focusing on artificial intelligence and machine learning in security. Check out the links in the description below. And there is Paul Thurrott, who was not very nice to me this morning.
I said I was sorry.
Yeah, I said, "Are you ready for this podcast?" And he said,
I wrote the F word, and then Y, and hit enter. And what I meant was yes. But of course, what that looked like was F you and good morning, Brad. Brad, you may remember, not that you think about this stuff on a day-to-day basis, but 3.5 years ago, I moved to Pennsylvania. Can you remember one of the key reasons?
Well, based on
Less
what you
snow.
just... Yeah. If we would have had the rights to Frosty the Snowman, I would have replaced the intro with that because it looks like you got a little dusting out there. A little dusting.
This is the most snow I've seen on the ground at the place where I've lived since 2015, during which we actually had over 6 feet of snow on the ground. And that was the moment where I said, I'm not living here forever. I'm done with this.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have, depending on where you're standing or looking, I mean, it's over 2 feet and it's 3 feet in some places for sure. We took the dog out last night. The dog kind of took a step in and fell into it. And then she backed up really fast. And then she's kind of slowly wagging her tail, looking at it. And then she went to the other corner of the front porch, and then went to the other corner. And then she just looked at us and she's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to the bathroom." And I was like, "No, she has to go to the bathroom because she'll wake up in the middle of the night." So I dug a little trench for her so she could get out onto the lawn. And she seemed to appreciate that and also used it immediately. So she understood the purpose of it. But yeah, oh boy.
That's a lot of snow.
Not super interested in this, I got to tell you.
I mean, we've got a good. You have bad snow. We got yesterday what I would call annoying snow because we got the 3 inches, whatever Saturday. I had to go out and shovel the driveway, and then it rained, and then we got 2 inches Sunday. So then I had to go out and shovel the driveway. And then I woke up this morning and there was another inch on the ground, so I had to go out and shovel the driveway because it couldn't just happen in a consistent span or whatever. And anyways, we've got 4 inches out there, maybe 3-4 inches. It's nice. It's just high enough so you can't see the blades of the grass anymore. It's a nice little blanket.
It snows a lot and it coats every branch of every tree with some inch or two of snow. We have more snow there than you have on the ground.
Oh yeah, probably.
It is it's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
some very shocking news, Paul, happened yesterday. Very shocking. Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this coming. That Google shut down their internal gaming studio. I mean, nobody. There were no prophets that looked at the wall and the tea leaves and said this is going to happen.
Well, it was rather. First of all, Stadia launched a year ago. I used Stadia, and you have too. And I got to say, it's good. And I feel like maybe in a moment like this, it's important to reflect on why we do things the way we do things, right? And so the purpose of a video game service, a cloud-based streaming service, right, is correct. It's a good idea because most people, and even for myself, it would probably work out. But if you pay $10 a month and get access to every game you want to play, that's the imaginary part, right? You're not going to spend the entire year playing one game. So, you could buy a game for $60, or you could spend the money on a stream service. The problem with Stadia is kind of twofold. I mean, one, they've entered the gaming market at kind of a late point, so they have to catch up. And Luna suffers from this and whatever else. But the other one is that their business model is, they're Google. They're kind of weird. They don't give you that all-you-can-eat thing. There's a very small selection of games you get as part of that subscription, but you could pay nothing for Stadia and you just buy games on it. And to me, that's the exact wrong approach. They kind of landed in the exact wrong place. Luna got it right, and they're still new, so they have the problems. Microsoft's xCloud has it right. There's I don't know what the exact number is, but it's got to be in the 175 range, right? So it's not every game on earth, obviously, but it's a huge selection of games. It's $15 a month. But the idea here is you get this a la carte approach, and it makes more sense than Game Pass by itself because it streams, right? Game Pass is wonderful, but it's still an interim technology because you have to download the games onto a device to play them first, right?
Yep.
like, a lot of people are like, oh, here they go again. They're killing stuff, and okay, fair enough. I mean, they certainly earned this reputation, but Stadia as a service is good. There's a really vague thing in there, which is what I always thought would be their strength, and it's something Microsoft is doing too, by the way, which is providing this underlying service they made to game makers so they can have their own services.
Right.
I think they're going to see success with that, right? Because I've, having played Stadia, I'm like, actually, this works pretty well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's just Google. Like, we all kind of know that.
Sure.
I mean, let me put it this way, Paul.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. If you were going to go spend a couple $100 on games,
I know.
like, would you tell somebody or even yourself that go do it on Stadia? Because even though you can't play those games or download them or take them anywhere else, and they're locked to that platform, like it feels like Microsoft's movie and TV thing. Like, it's still there. Like, you can still go use it. It's fine.
So here's the difference, though. Microsoft's movie and TV platform is literally stuck on PCs.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only place you can access that content, unless you did a movies anywhere thing, and there's another app that some portion of your library is available elsewhere. Right? It's usually about half to 2/3, or maybe it's close to 2/3, right? Depending on. Well, no, that's for me. It's close to 2/3. Mm-hmm. For other people, it might be different. I don't know. Google's, look. Imagine they get rid of Stadia. They just get rid of it, right there, and there's no, like, what's the outcome there, right? So the outcome could be, well, they pay people back a little bit for some of the purchases because these things can't be played anymore. They could maintain the app and the service for some amount of time because they're providing it to third-party publishers anyway, and there's no real cost to it. So you still own this thing. You can install the Stadia client, and you can install kind of anywhere, right? It works in many places, at least more than, say, movies and TV does, right? Mm-hmm. But this is the fear, when Microsoft exits the music market, like they did with whatever it was called at the end, Groove, Music Pass and Groove Music. At least music as a format had become something that was freely portable, like it wasn't protected with copy protection anymore. So it was, you could download your songs, you'd be left whole. It was fine. There would be some nuisances around playlists you might have created in Game Pass and all that stuff, or Zune, whatever the frick it was called, Groove.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So these services, if you're worried about them going out, you have to kind of think about the future and what that might mean to you, right? So yeah, I mean, if you were going to spend $200 on games, Stadia might not be a good investment right now, because the fear might be for some amount of time it's not going to be there. And when will that time be? Will it be a year from now or 2 years from now? You're kind of making this bet. But on the other hand, if you just want to play a game and like I'll just make something up, like the new Hitman comes out or something, or that Cyberpunk game, whatever it is, you're like, look, I know myself, I will play this game for a couple of months. It costs X number of dollars. It doesn't matter where, but I buy it on Stadia because I have the hardware around the house or wherever I live, whatever it is, that will let me play it where I want to play it. Then who cares? I mean, not all of us are like, I'm only going to play this on Xbox because I want all my achievements in the same place. And, like, I guess, some people think like that, but I mean, it just depends on who you are and what what your style of playing games is. I mean, I don't know, like Luna, didn't have a lot of what I would call AAA titles, but it's cheap and the service works even better than Stadia in my experience. Is that a good investment? No, but I mean, buy a game is not works anyway, right? I mean, it's something you'd be passing the time with. So if what you want is there, it's like sorry, I keep going on and on about this, but like streaming services like this, like video services, right? If you don't have a lot of money, you can't spend $70 a month on like 8 different services or whatever it is. I guess that would be more like 5 different services. One strategy is get Netflix this month and pay the $10 or $15 or whatever it is. Cancel Netflix. Next month, do Hulu. Next month, do HBO Max, whatever it is. And you can save a lot of money that way, right? Because you don't need to always have access to Friends, even though you binge watched it on whatever thing it's on now. And games are kind of like that for the most part, right? I do go back and play a lot of older Call of Duty games, but most people probably play a game, they complete it maybe if they're lucky, and like, all right, I'm done with this, and they move on to the next thing. And so if you look back at a year and you're like, well, I bought this game on Luna or used it on Luna, and I bought this one on Stadia, and then I did this one on whatever, like, who cares? I mean, if you're never going to go back to it, what's the difference?
So I mostly agree with what you said.
In perspective, I'm not actually.
The only
Google
thing
it.
I disagree with is that the problem with Stadia is that it's not a subscription. It's a you buy the game. Like Luna to me is a like smarter value. Do exactly what you just said. Like you can just go pay $5 for the month and then just play. And then when you're done playing, you just stop paying $5. But for Stadia, you got to go buy the game for like $60, and then
Right. It's a hard thing
yeah,
because it's Stadia is more like movies and TV, which maybe
yes,
is why you put it up because you're buying a thing,
hmm
and Netflix is or we'll call it game streaming, xCloud, whatever, or Luna is more like Netflix, where you really own the thing. So you kind of rent it for a little while, and and then you're done with it. It's like you binge watch a TV show, and then you're done. You don't need, it's not in your library. You don't have to go back and,
right,
I mean, you could, but you don't, right? Most people don't. These digital things that you sort of own, and there has to be like air quotes around it, are kind of tough, aren't they? Because
yeah,
it's not like a phone. Like I own the phone. It's mine. It's a thing. It's, it sits here and it's less worth less every day that I use it, but it's mine. It's a thing. A digital thing is a tough thing because that underlying service could go away. So yeah, if you own a game on Stadia, which I do, I own a couple of games on Stadia. So what's the future? Like, let's say Google gets rid of it. There's going to be something. There'll be a little bit of a, you spent $50 in the Stadia store. Here's a $10 credit on the Play Store. You can spend it on games if you want or whatever you want. Or that's always attached to your Google account. For the foreseeable future, whatever. You can play it anytime you want. The web client was always there or something. I'm just that's my suspicion about how that.
yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. It's
Time
atrocious today. I'm sorry.
time will tell.
It's like I did. I took a shower too. You can't even tell.
Yeah, it's that blizzard dew, right?
Yeah, it's just
There is. Did you see? Apple pushed out a new beta yesterday, and there's actually something really interesting in there. At least for me, probably not for Paul. But they're shipping a feature, at least in 14.5, that if you have your Apple Watch close enough to your iPhone, it doesn't disable Face ID,
right? It's in your it's on your wrist. You're holding the phone. It probably just uses your eyes because that's all it can see. Plus, this being a second factor. Sure.
Yep, and then it'll unlock your phone, which will obviously everybody wearing a mask right now will make that a lot easier. I'm still holding out that the next iPhone has a built-in fingerprint reader.
Well, they did it on iPad Air, right? So there's no reason they couldn't.
Yeah, but there's no reason they couldn't, but there's no reason they will because.
Well, but when you go to that thicker, not thicker, but that kind of straight-edged edge that the new iPhones have, right? The old style, which is the style of the iPad Air that has this button. To me, that gives you room on that side to elegantly put a what do you call it? Touch ID button on there. So I think it's plausible. By the way, since you brought up the Apple iOS 14.5 thing, I just installed 14.4 on, I guess, my iPad because I noticed it. And I'm formulating this idea in my head that I feel like Apple has really ratcheted up the release of new features in point releases of iOS compared to previous years. Like I know they've always kind of done this. If you look at 13.x and probably 12.x before it, there, here and there would be these semi-major features, but I haven't looked yet. But I suspect if you were to look at 14.4, 14.3, 14, there's actually some pretty decent functionality being added to iOS in each release. They've always done multiple releases for quality. Bug and security fixes, mostly bug fixes, I guess. But it just seems like they're adding more features now, right? Which is kind of an interesting. Yeah. I'm going to look into this and see if that's true, but that's how it feels like to me. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm. Well, this one feels pretty timely. I think they're doing this one intentionally for obvious reasons. That if they waited until
no, I know that, but I mean, if you look at 14.4,
that is
look at
true.
What's new? It's actually a pretty decent list of new features.
Yeah. I wonder if they're just going more agile and then they're saving like the big incremental releases for like UI update. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
anyway, it's just one of those things swirling around in my head.
Yeah, other things that are being renamed or just whatever. Office Lens is now Microsoft Lens because everybody was very concerned about that.
The name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least it has a nice new icon with an M in it. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever. I mean, the Microsoft brand is the reason. It's fine. One question someone had, and I think this is true, was, Lens is available not just in that app, but it's available in OneDrive. I think it's in the Office app. It's probably in the key Office apps like Word, Excel, OneNote, is the functionality of each version of Lens the same, or do you need the app to get certain features? And I think they're the same. I think, but someone asked that question. I was like, man, I haven't installed a standalone Lens app in a long time because I just know it's just available.
Yeah.
Elsewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of really about it, right? It's been 24 hours since we've done a thing. We'll see what.
Yeah. This is, I don't know. I'm just so frazzled. I don't know what to even say anymore. It's like, this is like a snow day.
Except you still got to work.
I'm kind of hoping the internet goes out and solves that problem, but yeah, sure.
Well, before that happens, today's podcast is brought to you by Security Unlocked. You can find links down in the description below, or go directly to securityunlockedpodcast.com, or find Paul Thurrott out frolicking in the snow.
Yeah. I'm having a massive heart attack.
I can only hope. Oh, that's kind of mean. Well, you started off by insulting me.
Wow, not really.